Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Thursday afternoon. Welcome back to the Masked Boomers. I'm Ward.
And I'm ice cream soda.
Yep, effervescent as always.
Mm.
Ice cream soda, and we're here to answer your questions. Just have conversation ourselves, or do whatever seems to be the right thing to do. We appreciate you being here, and we're glad to be doing it. And once again, I guess I'll read. Want me to read the questions? Soda. Jack Dawkins asks, "Can you say yee?" I guess I can.
Yeah, you can. I think you said it for the both of us.
I'm not sure if that's the way he would have meant it. It might have been a yee.
I
I
don't know.
don't know. Oh, that's a tricky one. That this person is a if that is Jeffrey Dahmer, shout out, yeah, that gives you something to chew on. You know who he was? Jeffrey Dahmer. He's a murderer, the cannibal dude.
Oh, geez. I think I've heard of him. I just blocked out the name.
Yeah, that one gets stuck.
Ugh.
Oh, I got someone told me I did a good yee, and I got potential. I actually have
As a cowboy.
as a cowboy. Oh, oh, you mean what? Don't I have potential as their ice cream
Oh, the person said
soda? Yeah, as a
as a
cowboy.
cowboy.
Well, then my money that I spent on those boots was not wasted. I've got 2/3 of the thing. I got to get me a big belt buckle. Well, I had
Okay.
a pretty decent one. Do you think that there are any modern musical acts that will be celebrated in 50 years? Why don't you take that one? You're the musical person.
Boy,
That's a good question.
that is a good question. But honestly, I don't know that there's a. I can't say right now that I would say that there is a musical standout that will be 50 years from now will still be.
I mean, it's hard to look at any groups and think of anybody like the that you got another Rolling Stones or the Beatles or Elvis. It doesn't seem to be anybody that's
Well, there are two probably
there's some that dominate right
younger
now.
people, but whether or not their music
50
will
years.
last for 50 years
Yeah.
and reach other generations is a tough one.
I think that I honestly think that that's if someone does it, it's gonna. I don't know who it would be. I think it's gonna. That's a stretch. I just don't see it. I don't know if other generations felt the same way,
Well,
but
I
I
don't
know
even know
before
that we
us.
thought our music would be that popular 50 years later.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the music is kind of like it isn't always. This is it's everything's trendy now. You know, you get kind of everybody kind of climbs on the same bandwagon and and does this thing. Of course, they did that in our day too.
Yeah.
You know, the English invasion and all that stuff. You had the Beatles and the Hermit's Hermits and Eric Burton. A lot of the English acts. I don't know. I don't know of. There's none that I know of, but that just may be because I'm not aware
Yeah, I
of
don't
the
think,
good young acts today.
yeah, we're a little out of touch with that.
As you get older, are you more hopeful or fearful of the world boomers will leave behind? to give your perspective. Now I'll give mine.
What was that again?
I said, as you get older, are you more hopeful or fearful of the world that we boomers are leaving behind? Will leave
Ooh,
behind.
I'm definitely fearful. I do not. I do not think what's going on right now, especially in the education in the schools, is going to raise stable, normal, functioning people as adults and people with good work ethics and morals and any kind of faith. I think that the focus right now is to take all of that away.
Well, and as you said, people are getting taught that at a younger age. In fact, the other day on the news, or an article I read said over 4 million people quit their jobs in January, and it's just a different set of values. I think everybody's a lot more self-absorbed. I think people think are predominantly, unfortunately, think first of themselves. Then on the as much as everyone says, and then you talk about tolerance, the great kind of the great lie that says you need to be tolerant of everybody, and there has never been a less tolerant environment that I can remember in my whole life. And then if somebody, heaven forbid, if you should say something that somebody doesn't like, they get offended. I mean, offended. It's like being offended is like the a terrible thing. If you offend me, therefore you shouldn't be allowed to have that opinion. It's just there's no way that sets a tone where people are going to cooperate with each other and get along, or even try to get along with each other. Everybody wants what they want, the way they want it, and that's it. And there's no room for latitude. You got to be. I mean, think of it even in a family. You have to be careful of discussions you have even in a family, because you place relationships at risk every time you have a disagreement on something that shouldn't cause that. Yeah, I honestly,
Economics too. Just
uh,
where the country will be bankrupt.
well, what they voted for? What a 1.5, another $1.5 trillion bill, and and the country's in debt. There's it. History has said that one of the biggest reasons that any kind of a civilization fails is when people discover that the treasury is a cookie jar and they can vote themselves anything they want, which is exactly what's going on now. And there isn't any money. We're just seeing the start of it. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think the world is gonna be. I don't think we're gonna have to leave it behind before we see the outcome. I think I'm plenty fearful about what's going to happen in the next
10
year
years.
or 10 years. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm selfishly speaking, and I know it's not the right attitude. I am glad I am not 25 years old trying to figure out how to get along. I'm glad I'm my age, and chances are my ticket will be punched sometime in the next 10 or 15 years. Being offended is social currency. I guess is that someone wants to comment on that. I guess if you're offended, then you can spend that making somebody give you something because you're offended. You know, I guess that's what that means. That's what it means to me. Let me spend my tears. Yeah. I don't know. Everyone is so fragile. Everybody is fragile. How do you feel about the Beach Boys? Round,
Hey,
round, get
with a name
around,
like
get
that, if
around.
you like the beach, I mean, come on.
Those
How can you
guys,
not like them?
those guys were great. Little Deuce Coupe.
I actually think that was one of my first concerts.
Oh, the Beach Boys.
I think so.
Oh,
I remember right.
I get around. Is that playing? Because I was waiting for the music, and then I could thank them. Yeah, they were really good.
You're still working out the kinks.
That's very funny. uh, Maybe that's what their garage band sounded like before they worked out the kinks when they were 12 years old or 11 years old.
Oh, they're older than that. At
No,
that point.
no, I'm just saying maybe before they. That's hysterical. That's hysterical. Ah. Oh, I love the Beach Boys, the real ones. They were, yeah. I mean, that was those.
Simple, uplift, upbeat,
I mean, those were
fun.
that was the those were the that was the predominant music when we were going to our middle school and high school dances,
Yeah, I guess.
as I recall. Yeah, the little old lady
Hey.
from Pasadena. No, that was great stuff. Oh, do you have Bitcoin? Yes, I do. I have some. I have a few cryptos. Not a lot, but I had a got advice from somebody of the another generation, so I've kind of dipped my toe into it. It's going to
Mm.
be interesting to
Now
see what happens.
Biden's about to dip his toe in.
Well, yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see if it turns out to be an alternative that can get people around some of this garbage that the government's trying to do. So we'll see. But yeah, I do have it, and I mean, you know, sometimes you get dragged along with the culture, kicking and screaming. But at the end of the day, digital currency is gonna happen. There's just no doubt. There's no way it can't happen. So whether it's Bitcoin or something else, Ethereum or whatever it might be, you've gotta get engaged. Interesting questions today. Do you think Charles Manson was falsely
I
jailed?
don't think so on that one.
I mean, that was I mean that was pretty sensational,
Yeah.
man. When it happened, that was just brutal. That was pretty sensational.
Yeah, it was.
Well, that's that. You remember they had this whole cult, the group that, in fact, I think one of the ladies just got out a few years ago. Uh, got out of prison or was going to, and then they said she couldn't be paroled. But no, he was a that is one scary dude when you see any kind of interviews with him or up close things where he's just I mean he's demonic is the word that comes to
Out of
mind.
touch.
Yeah, I mean he's just a really evil person.
Yeah.
Oh man, we each got to tell one of those,
A funny
I guess. A
story?
funny story from your childhood. It's going to take me a while to come up with
Yeah,
something
me
funny.
too.
Funny story. Tell us a funny story from your childhood. Okay, each one of us going to get to do that.
It's a tough question to just be on the spot. Because what's funny to us might not be so funny to somebody
Well,
else.
it's your funny.
Well, yeah, but I'm
Just
having trouble with a funny.
nothing funny ever happened to you. Oh, I got a funny story. It's a baseball story. My father was an immigrant, and he didn't come to the United States until he was like 29 years old. So he didn't know much about U.S. sports, obviously. And I was the youngest in the family, and I was always in school. I was always playing sports, even as a really young kid. Now combine that with the fact that my father had a job. He was in a merchant marine, so he sailed for a living. He was on ships, so he would be gone for very long periods of time, and then you come home. And I can remember him coming home. I was probably only about 9 years old, 10 years old, and he came home, and I had just started to learn how to really play baseball, organized baseball. And there was a field, a little park with a baseball field down the corner of the street from the house. And he said, "Hey, what do you think?" I said, "You want to play catch?" He's what we had a couple gloves, and so we're going to go down the corner. This older immigrant guy. At this time now, he's probably 40 years old, and because I'm 10. So anyway, we go down there, and he says, "Okay, throw it to me." I throw the ball to him. He, in his unpracticed thing, it hit him right in the eye, dropped him, and so we played half a game of catch, as I refer to it. We went home, and he had ice on his eyeball like 20 minutes after we left the house. And I'm sure he didn't think it was that funny, but it was
I just was
hysterical.
gonna say, see,
That's funny.
well, I guess
We
to
never
you,
played. We never played. We never
never
played
played again.
baseball again.
Mm.
Technically, he never played baseball at all. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on this one. I can't come up
You're
with
gonna
anything.
pass.
No, I can't. I can't think of anything that I think. Oh,
Oh
that was funny.
man, come on! Your dad used to do all kinds of funny things. Oh, you could tell a funny story not so much from our childhood, from their childhood. Remember the story about
Yeah, but that's not the question.
Okay. Well, yeah, but you don't have an answer, so I was trying to come up with something. Yeah, it's not okay. All right, I agree with you. It's not the question, so answer the question.
Uh, There's just nothing that comes to mind.
Wow. School. Anything in school? Anything with your older family members, your sisters?
That's funny. That would be. I don't know.
How about when you? How about getting caught by the cop up in the tree? That's your childhood.
That wasn't funny.
Oh, good gracious. She has no. The ice cream soda is humorless. Charles, it's an epic answer.
Dude.
He's a madman.
He's a. He's
Isn't that isn't he bizarre?
he's not there.
Wow.
times those kinds of things were said to him.
Oh man, Charles Manson. I mean, why would anybody even put a camera on him and talk to him at this point?
Us. Everybody was obsessed with why he did what he did.
Thanks. Well, you know what, Jeff? Thank you for that, for the donation. First of all, appreciate it very much.
And the clip.
And but I have to tell you, that clip is creepy. He is a creepy dude. It says epic answer. I mean, he is one scary dude. He's even scary now. Couldn't imagine what he must have been like.
I don't
The
know
thing
how
that
you did
the,
an interview with
well,
someone that's so out of touch.
well, the thing is, you wonder how a guy like that convinced people to follow him. There had to be some kind of an appeal. I mean, it couldn't have been pure fear because you know, like Squeaky Fromme or whatever her name was, the lady who was one of the disciples there who killed Sharon Tate and those folks. I mean, they were devoted followers, and it seemed, you know, you wonder how could they ever how could a guy that creepy ever convince anybody to do anything or to even be near him. Just bizarre. Man. I guess birds of a feather. I guess if you're nuts,
Everybody
you
needs to be
recognize.
needed.
Everybody needs to be needed. That's true. Everybody needs to belong or wants to belong. Probably the answer. Search out the most desperate people.
Well, they have a way of finding each other.
And appeal. Yeah, they do. Thoughts on biolabs in the Ukraine?
Oof. I'm not impressed.
What does that mean? That's not it. What does that mean? I'm not impressed.
Well, that means that from what I've heard, the U.S. had their hand in some of those labs.
Oh,
We play the innocent, we're not doing anything wrong, and yet we've got our own little hot spot going on.
well, it says that there's everyone's saying it. Oh no, that's just Russian disinformation. We didn't have anything.
I don't know if I buy that.
No, I think that I actually think that I'm sure that we did have stuff going on, and a couple of the sources that at least some things that it seemed inferred that the National Institute of Health, Mr. Fauci's organization, you know, had some money find its way to some of those labs, and the most tantalizing thing that I saw. And I'm not sure if it might have, you know, I won't say the name of the outlet because I'd like to stay on for a while and not get censored. But that Hunter Biden had some money invested in some of those labs. I mean, given that Ukraine was where the family, the Biden family, has done an awful lot of business and made an awful lot of money and been involved in a lot of different kinds of stuff over the years, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we that if the Russian information is absolutely correct, that it's got that our fingerprints are on it. What do I think? I'm not surprised.
Disgraced by that. I think it's
Oh,
terrible that we did something like that,
well,
and then act like
I don't. Well,
everybody else is
well,
so terrible doing it.
Well, let's raise another question then. What do you think about what do you think about bioweapons? Should we have them? Should we have them as a means to as a discouragement, as a deterrent? I mean, it's in many respects,
inhumane.
it's just like the you know the nuclear arsenal, except like we just experienced, if for whatever reason something gets turned loose, it has an effect that hits a lot more people than just you can't necessarily pinpoint the target like you can with a missile, you know. But should we have them or shouldn't we? You have, and yes, they're awful. Yes, they're hideous. Yes, why would geniuses work on that stuff rather than try to be constructive? But I don't know. I'd feel pretty comfortable making a case either way. But to be self righteous and say, "Oh no,
Not us.
not us," yeah, that's
Point your finger at everybody
that's
else.
well, that's the way you do it. You point your finger at everybody else and accuse them of doing what you're doing. Yeah, the people that do that and know that they're doing that, like some of these guys that have indeed been involved in the bio weapons that we're learning about. Fauci's old boss is one of those guys. In fact, he just got a new job, I think. He's been made some kind of a director or something in the White House, some kind of an advisor. Not surprisingly. The people that have the most damning information, you probably have to keep pretty close to you. Well, we are going to take a short break, and we'll come back in about 5 minutes. And when we do, we're going to start with a following question that somebody's asked, which is, were stocks available to average people back in the day, and was it difficult to buy compared to today, where you can buy it on an app? So stay tuned, and we'll be back in 5. Thank you. we're back. And at my age, I'm very impressed. I think I can remember the question. The
Oh,
question was, back in the day, was it easier to buy stock as easy as it is now, where you can just buy it with an app? Oh, yeah. I mean, stocks were always available. You say average people, but way different circumstance. You could never do it this quickly. I I can remember the first time buying stocks online was through a computer at the house on a dial up line. And I mean, it would, and you thought, boy, that is pretty speedy. It only took 15 minutes or whatever to get something done.
but you had to set the account up
Oh
first.
yeah, you had to go through it. There's no such thing as things like, if you will, like Venmo or any kind of a thing where you could transfer money that quickly. It would take you weeks, to literally weeks, and mailing, physically mailing things, snail mailing back and forth forms and getting signatures. And then once you could buy stock, you'd have to go to it. That was an online account before those were invented. You had to call a broker, and every time you called some guy, he's sitting at his desk and he's going to buy it, and and you got to pay him X bucks just to have the ability to
Hey,
buy the stock. It was just, yeah, it was awful. So it's like so much better now, and it's really gone through a lot of transitions, because there were people that once you could do it online, then people said, "Oh man, I can just manage my own money at home, and I can do it online, like day trading." And those people got, I
well, that
know
didn't even
several.
exist in the beginning.
Oh no, it didn't. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, the advent of technology and computers, and more speed with the computers, allowed you to do that. But anybody who was doing it from home, even now, you can't do it as fast as all these others can. I mean, now maybe you can, but you could
You really
never
got to know.
react.
Yeah.
You were always, you'd say, "Oh, I got to go buy some. It's going up." By the time you did it, it had already crashed. I mean, a lot of people went broke
Day
trying to do
trade.
day trading. If you don't know what you're doing, stay away. But nah, it was nowhere near as easy. I guess the good news is it wasn't as easy to make money, but it also wasn't as easy to lose a lot of money in a hurry either. If you make a mistake now, man,
Costly.
it's a high speed mistake. And trades, are executed instantly, and that never happened. That was never a case before, which was kind of good, because retrospectively, it kind of protected you from yourself. You had time to rethink what you were trying to do sometimes, and maybe you change your mind as to what you were going to buy or not buy, or how much. So yeah, it's a different world. Different world. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. I'm going to let you speak to that statement first. I think of your. There's nothing inherently. There's nothing inherently wrong with technology and advancement, the Industrial Revolution, because I'm talking too much. You
Oh,
need
go
to talk.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I can't talk on stocks because I don't.
This we're not
I
talking.
had nothing to do with it.
That
But that's
question is
I
not about
know.
stocks.
Well,
It's the
there's
Industrial Revolution.
yeah, but a lot of it has made things better, and some in some ways it's made us a lazier.
Well, there's an effect. You say consequences. Some of them are intended, and some of them are unintended. I mean, you're talking about things. Think of things like from the cotton gin. Great, you can get You can get things woven, and you can process things for clothes. That's wonderful. Then you have things like washing machines, or sewing machines, or dishwashers, things that were designed specifically to do tasks that people were doing themselves. Some of those consequences are good. You say, oh, well, isn't that good? You have more free time. Yeah, to do what?
Yeah.
To use it productively, or to sit around and be unproductive and be lazy. I mean, it does have indeed has a lot of consequences. But like anything else, you say it's been a disaster. Well, you wouldn't even be able to. You wouldn't even be able to be asking this question or sitting here doing what we're doing if not for the whole Industrial Revolution. It's hard to paint it all as a disaster, but like anything else, it's a poor workman blames its tool. Is a kind of an argument. The tools have been created. Not always with a noble goal in mind. I'll give you that. But by the same token, just like anything, it's what the human race has done with it, and individuals have done with it that has made it a disaster. In those cases where it is a disaster, there's cases where obviously it's spectacular, and it's given us, particularly in this part of the world, lifestyles and comforts and medical advantages and all kinds of things that one could only have dreamt of 2 generations ago, 3 generations ago. But again, just like anything, once people get involved, once big money is involved, once the profit motive is involved, then then human nature takes over, and human nature always ends up screwing things up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I was in the neighborhood, and one of the men in the neighborhood told me that there's some good deals on some ladies' electric bikes, and I found myself walking away thinking, so what is it exactly that an electric bike actually does for you? I've been on them, and I have to admit they're fun, but how much exercise are you really getting every time you decide you just want to juice the battery and let the bike do all the work for you? So it's like, yes, it's fun, but then if you're out to get exercise, riding a bike is the best way to do it, not an electric bike. So, but everybody has to keep advancing something. So,
well, but some of the obvious things they just keep coming to mind, particularly in the current day. People having contact or trying to conduct relationships remotely. It's not the same thing.
right.
I mean, the grandkids can be online playing a video game and have their headset on, and they're talking to their friends. I do not put that in the same category as being outside and knocking the crap out of each other on a basketball court, or playing baseball, or playing hide and seek, or whatever the game was. Just being outside, and playing with each other in person. That I think that is a consequence, and that's why people feel so isolated. I mean, look at what's happened, with teenagers and stuff, and suicide rates. It's like it's insane, and I think a lot of that is because, and the pandemic made it worse, and the lockdowns made it worse. The people being isolated or being by themselves. I mean, it's hard to feel warm, and you don't get warm and fuzzies from looking at a 2-dimensional picture of somebody, no matter how thoughtful they are or how much they care for you. It's not the same as being with them, or being in the company of people. And again, the tool itself is great, but those things can't be substitutes for basics that never should have gone away in the first place.
True. I have to laugh about even the development of the phone. First you were,
That's right.
first you were on a phone that you
Yeah.
couldn't move. You couldn't walk away from it. You were stuck wherever that phone was. And then even payphones, like to make calls
Yep.
on the road,
That's right.
or if you weren't home, then you had to use a payphone to make a phone call. And then I have to laugh because in order to not have to be in the same room as the actual base of the phone, they made long extension cords so that you could just stretch the cord and be in the
Like
other
30 or
room,
40
even though,
feet, yeah.
you know, I mean,
Before wireless. Yeah.
then it became the phone, the phone that was like a walkie-talkie. It was
Yeah,
such
the
a
first- yeah.
big, you know, I don't even know why you bothered carrying it. You couldn't hide it.
The
You
first
couldn't
cell
put it
phone.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like huge.
Yeah.
You know, now all of a sudden, and now you're on a phone where you can be anywhere. Even long distance calls, you know, that's a thing of the past. Overseas calls, that's a thing of the past. You can call anywhere and talk to anyone.
Yeah, absolutely, and do it for a fraction
Of the cost.
of the cost. When we were young, Ice Cream Soda, I met her a couple weeks before she was going to go to the other side of the world, and she went anyway, going to Australia.
We hadn't known each other that long.
Yeah, going to Australia,
But-
and but I remember making phone calls, trying to talk to each other. And if and it's emblazoned in my head, it cost $27 for 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Crazy.
Boy, I got to tell you, that makes for economy of conversation and only meaningful topics.
But I don't know that that's a disaster for the human race. But boy,
Right.
is that, you know,
Yeah, true. Anyway, of course we digress. We should digress.
I don't know.
If you had to spend a day with Hunter Biden or Jeffrey Epstein, who would you pick and why? You are, I don't know.
Really?
You are one sick, there's one sick dude right there.
I
asking that
couldn't have
question.
spent any time with
Well,
either one of them.
You know, I mean, I suppose if you liked crack, you'd probably go with Hunter because you'd have a crack pipe with him. Epstein, yeah, you know, I mean, that's a gosh,
Man,
what a
there's
pig.
not a choice there.
No, it's awful. Oh gosh, that's
Neither one would.
Nah, no,
yeah.
not happening. Although I think if you could lay a good beating on Hunter, it might be worth spending time with him. You know.
Well, I feel. I mean, obviously he's not there. I mean, he's
Well.
got real serious emotional issues.
He's gonna. I'm going to let you answer that one.
Why did they?
Why did they murder Princess Diana? What were they hiding?
Mm.
You always felt there was something there.
Well, she couldn't be controlled was part of it. She knew she had been just a pawn, basically, and
A pawn for what? What do you think she was a pawn for?
I think the person that he loved, who is now married, was married at the time, so there was no having children with her, and he needed to produce heirs. So of course he had to.
Oh, you mean Charles?
Yes, Charles.
Okay.
Who else would it be? So
I don't know.
they. So I think there was probably a brief infatuation, and she filled all the requirements pretty much. She dotted all the I's, but then she quickly realized that he wasn't in love with her. And
Okay. But I mean, but why? but why do you think why kill her? Do you think is it
I
because if
honestly,
she's gone, at least then a memory can fade? It's
I
not
don't
like I'm a
know.
divorced
I don't know
man.
that
I'm a
they set.
widower instead. I mean,
No, I don't know that I don't know that that was set up. I think that was a lot of bad decisions that were made at the moment.
well, the guy driving her car was
Was
as high
drunk.
as a kite.
Yeah, and they were just trying to get away from they just were trying to get away from the press and
Paparazzi were all over her.
all over
Yeah,
her
that's
all the
true.
time. I can't imagine living that way. I mean, there were times when she used it, and there were times when, you know, she clearly didn't want it, and I that just is a
Well, I mean, one of the things that's always been true about the royal
they
family, and
didn't
you
put
see
their
it.
seatbelts on
Well, one of the things that's always been true of the royal family is they don't want any of their business
out there,
out there
right?
at all.
And
if
she did make some of it
and
public.
if they felt any of that was gonna find its way, that just wasn't going to be allowed to happen.
Yeah,
Just wasn't going to be allowed to
but
happen.
I'm not sure. To say that she was murdered is a stretch, I think.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, they
She was in. They were in a vehicle that was supposed to be incredibly safe, and they didn't put seatbelts on. The driver was the only one that had a seatbelt on.
well,
So
anyway.
there's a lot to that, but
Of course, who's the guy that she was he like a Saudi prince, or he wasn't? He was a Middle Eastern. I can't remember exactly who he
who
was.
she was with.
But that's
Yes, and
but
his
that
father
whole
was very powerful.
yeah, but that whole element of it might have had some bearing on it. You just wouldn't know, because I just can't remember who the guy was, and
No, I can't think of his.
and what family, what what royal family he came from and stuff. But
Right.
anyway, can you read it? You need me to read it to you?
Who is
Ice cream soda. Who's
cuter?
cuter, Joe Biden or Vladimir Putin?
Oh gosh,
He says my vote's Putin.
yeah, I'd have to agree. Yep, for sure.
I think Joe Biden looks like Mr. Magoo.
Oh, he's old. He looks old, acts old. He
Yeah.
is old.
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin's got a lot more on him for sure. At least he can function. Although he's a little, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe he's a little
older.
out there too right now.
Well, I mean, we're not talking about mental state right there. That was a pretty specific question.
Yes, that
You-
was.
You answered it. That's pretty interesting stuff. Oh, and well, we've got a last question before we head off, and it says, "What is your take on societal collapse?"
Whew. Yeah, it's a loaded question. How much time do we have?
You go as much as much. It's our show. We can take as much time as we like. Go
On
ahead.
social collapse.
Societal collapse. The collapse of society. What's your take on it?
A lack of faith in a lot of cases. No spiritual foundations, and no moral. People, morality is a huge one, and truth, trust, those things just don't seem to be important to a lot of people anymore. This, I don't know. It's definitely collapsing.
What do you think about it? How fast?
A lot faster than I thought it would, but I think that's because so much is out there so fast these days that you thought it wasn't going that quick, but now because everything's reported so fast,
Well, we talking about the fact that there's been a moral decline in the country for a lot of years. We've talked about that for a lot of years, and maybe this is where we show that we fell asleep at the switch. This is it's like it's the perfect example of the old saying that says, all that's necessary for evil men to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And people who knew better just let people
avoid
with no
confrontation.
morals and no standards and no regard for right and wrong, just let them nibble away, nibble away, nibble away. And in the spirit of trying to get along with people and keep the peace, you just let them destroy everything. I agree with you. I mean, and you have to start with the fact that faith is the first thing that gets attacked. And when we grew up going to school, it was not uncommon to pray in school, in elementary school,
Oh gosh, yes.
and or to say a prayer.
Pledge of
To start the day.
Allegiance,
What's that?
you say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh yeah, all
Same.
of those things, and they were just absolutely part of it. And then when that started to get taken away, then it became people used to look. I can remember I grew up in a city neighborhood, and I know even in your place there were families all around you. There were very few divorced families, and there
Oh,
were
gosh,
families
no.
with lots of several kids, and but whole families, and very stable, and the kids, we all kind of reflected that, in terms of how you functioned. And then suddenly, no, it's okay. You know what? We've grown apart. We should go our separate ways. Zero commitment. Zero commitment. It's like suddenly society became, if there's any discomfort associated with what's going on for me, I have a perfect right to walk away. I don't have to be committed. And that's what has happened to that's what's happened to marriages, to families. People say, you know what? I don't have to put up with this. Well, what commitment did you make? So I mean, the term commitment means that you suck it up, and figure out a way, and I think it's a microcosm of the general ill that, it's if I have to put up with something, or if I don't get what I want, then
I walk away.
And that is the essence of the collapse of the society.
Just think about the loyalty now, and it went both ways, because if you stayed with a company, you generally were very.
Oh yeah.
The way people jump jobs is there's. It's all about me.
Well, in all fairness, though, it's not like the people who are the leadership of the companies aren't going the same path that the rest of the workers are, generationally speaking. You got people, we always talk about, putting in your time and paying your dues when you're working. And I do feel that way. But you still are hopeful that the organization and the people in leadership positions for the organization for which you work will recognize that and reward those people who display those characteristics accordingly. Or do they not? Look at some of these people. I almost said a bad thing. I want to do that. That the guy who laid off like 300 people on a Zoom call. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What kind of a punk is that? So,
or you walk away from a marriage and you leave a letter. Well, not even a letter. You probably send a text.
Just disappear or send a text. Break up with somebody by text.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. See, I just so
loyalty to anything is gone.
It's like personal responsibility, accountability, and forgiveness, and being able to forgive or overlook an offense. Those are the things that have just gone away. And because of those, I think that's the thing that's, because it's a society doesn't collapse. Individuals collapse. And when they do it collectively, then it's a societal collapse. but it means that we got millions and millions of us or who have decided that it's just easier to go along and not fight it and let it go. And we haven't displayed the courage or the commitment ourselves in many instances to fight back and say, you know what, screw this, enough's enough. So,
Well, even what is being taught in school, what is being allowed to be taught in schools to very young children, and you know,
yeah. What was that garbage down in
Florida.
Florida that you were telling me about? Where
They twisted the bill that they passed
Right.
that DeSantis was trying to explain, and you're talking about teaching children who can barely read, never mind understand
from kindergarten to
third grade. I mean, really?
Oh man.
I as we agreed, third grade. Why not a lot further in? Schools don't have the right to start preaching sex education to kids that young, or sex orientation. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Last question. We can go on for days.
Oh man,
with
I
this
was going to
one.
say,
name the category. Yeah. You know.
pick a topic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm out of breath on that one. You know, I could.
moral collapse in this country is
It is.
everywhere in the world. It just,
Yeah.
there's no regard for human life.
And the person who has any standards is made to feel like they're the
world wants
problem.
it, yeah.
They're the problem. Because you know right from wrong, you're the problem. Or because you have, and that we come back to, everything is relative. Everyone uses situational ethics. There's no more moral absolutes. It's relative. You know, when you use the expression, well, you know, that's your truth. What an inane comment that is. What a just absolutely inane. I mean, truth is truth. And you either, you know, and if you can't it's like the whole gender thing when you hear these interviews. Sir, can we agree that there's just two biological genders? Well, no, you know, it's not. It's more complex than that. How
No, it's not.
stupid do you have to be? I mean, what's going on inside those people's heads when they give answers like that?
Yeah.
Trying to appease the whole strange liberal
Grow a backbone,
left.
people.
What's that?
Some people need to just grow a backbone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. You know,
Well,
I would say grow a pair, but I'd probably say that that's considered binary or something, or cisgender, or whatever the term is. But man, you got to speak up.
it's too sexist.
You got to
that's
speak
it.
up. Oh my.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry, I've got kind of out of breath there. And we just would ask if you would please to like it, like us and share and subscribe and tap the bell to ensure that you get the on your YouTube channel, to make sure that you get notified when we're on. We appreciate very much all you folks who donated today. And we'd also welcome the opportunity to speak to other streamers and commentators in the future. So if you want to send our stuff to someone and you'd like us to speak to them and stream with them, we would try to work that out. We think adding a little bit of more interaction and variety and different folks would be a really fun and an informative thing to do. So with that, we'll see you next Thursday, and we'll look forward to it. Take care.
Bye.
See you, everyone. Take care.
Come on back.